I'm a big fan of his, and I know he's not a big star to a lot of people. All he did was make 5 straight Pro Bowls. You can argue that his 5th one last year was a little bit on sympathy, a little bit on career achievement, a little bit on comeback player of the year. I don't think he was himself last year. And in fact, he admitted that yesterday. He just said, look, I can't any longer play up to who I used to be and what I used to expect of myself. And it makes me hurt for him, bleed for him, that he just turned 29 and he's having to say, I just can't play anymore, when in fact, and help me out, Mr. Hall of Famer, on this point, if you make 5 straight Pro Bowls, starting with your 2nd year in the league, one time he made the first team All-Pro, and I don't doubt that he would have done that again a couple of more times. What if he'd made 10 Pro Bowls, 12 Pro Bowls as a center?
Yeah,
would
that's
you,
a Hall of Fame career.
Would you at least be in the, in the conversation anyway, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. I think he was that quality, that caliber of not only a player, but a leader. He was obviously the quarterback of the offensive line. He was a quiet, strong leader in the locker room. And this is a literal gaping hole in the middle of the line. Now, you can argue to me that because he wasn't quite himself last year, that made Ezekiel Elliott what I said that he was, which was not what he used to be. Maybe Ezekiel had his career worst stats across the board, in part, maybe large part, because Travis Frederick wasn't himself. But I'm here to tell you that the whole line last year wasn't itself, that all those overpaid underperformers just weren't what they used to be, and not because they had autoimmune deficiency. They just, for whatever reason, injuries, age, maybe just... Maybe they're just a little full of themselves and resting on their laurels and on their paychecks. But Shannon, the whole line didn't block the way it used to. And they didn't even seem like a top 5 line to me last year. So I'm saying we start there. And that's not a great building block for next year's Cowboy offensive line, because you've lost the center, Joe Looney. They just signed him for $2.4 million as the backup center. I just don't think he can carry that load. You know, Connor Williams, I'm not a big fan of him at left guard. He played some center in Texas. Maybe you could put him in the middle, which leads me to Dak. And again, we're doing the scope of the whole offseason. It just crushes my soul that Dak has the exclusive tag on him. And I've told you repeatedly, nothing good ever comes from a franchise tag. So all of a sudden, you have Dak at quiet war with Jerry. And I've said this before also, Shannon. Remember, Dak bet on himself through the last football season because we thought this deal would be done a year ago in the offseason, maybe in camp, maybe just before game 1. So my point to you is he bet on himself, and I don't think he had a great year. I think that Dak began to crumble under the expectations of trying to play for a big contract even last year. So help me out. If he's betting on himself again, if they go forward with him with the tag on, I don't love his chances next year. I feel like the pressure will begin to get to him again to try to live up to getting what I think he wants, which is more than Patrick Mahomes is going to get. So again, your thoughts on franchise tag going forward. How bad will it hurt this overall football team?
Well, I mean, Dak has to understand, since now I'm in preservation mode. As long as I come off this field healthy next year, I'm going to be in line for a big payday. Skip, he just saw what Ryan Tannehill got. Ryan Tannehill got $62 fully guaranteed $1 million for basically 8 regular season starts and 3 playoff starts. That's what he got. Up until that point, he hadn't a sniff a career of what Dak Prescott has had. And Dak says, hold on. I see all these guys that are less heralded than I getting paid. Why can't I? What's the problem? You say that I'm a franchise quarterback. You say that you believe that I can win multiple Super Bowls. But when it comes time to pay what the going rate is for it, because here's the thing, Skip. You do not pay a quarterback for what he's done. You pay a quarterback for what you believe he can do moving forward. That's what you've always told me. So if you do not believe Dak Prescott is worth 38, 39, 40, whatever he's asking for, move on. Because the price isn't going to come down. Because all Dak, Skip, he's only 26. So your franchise next year is going to be 27. So it doesn't get any easier. Skip, you remember our Mark Lorette had the very disease that Travis Frederick suffered, Guillain-Barré. And he said it took him not the year after, it was almost week 13 of the following year before he started to feel like his normal self. So maybe if Travis takes a year off, takes this year off, maybe next year he feels like himself, because the thing is, Skip, when you are a great player, you know, you can't, like, an average guy can play 13, 14 years because the expectation level, Skip, is not what it is for him. He has an expectation level for himself. He's like, I've been an all-pro. Yes, I made the Pro Bowl, but I didn't deserve it. That was a sympathy vote. And I cannot go out there in good conscience, take this man money. A lot of people could. I cannot go out there in good conscience and play at this level, which I know is unacceptable. My teammates see it. I see it. But I'm out here pilling around. No, I'm not worth the money that I'm drawing. So he shut it down.
I agree.
Now, that's a big gaping hole in the center of the offensive line because he's the quarterback. He makes all the calls. But the guy that's behind the center is the most important. And right now, he's upset at Jerry because Jerry will not give him what he thinks he deserves.
And as you know, I'm upset at Dak. And I'm his biggest fan and supporter and defender, especially on this show. But I'm upset at Dak because I've finally come to believe that Dak and his agent are asking for out-of-bounds money. I believe because we don't know that figure exactly, that it has to be something up there beyond what even Patrick Mahomes will ask for. I know Jerry Jones inside out. His reputation is for overpaying star players. I think he overpaid Zeke out of Cabo last summer. I think he overpaid all the offensive linemen. I think he overpaid DeMarcus Lawrence. I think he overpaid any number of players all over the football field where you say none of them really lived up to who they should have been last year. So I think he's getting gun shy about just giving the sun and the moon to Dak Prescott when Dak is 1-2 in the postseason and when Dak's team went 8-8 last year. And again, I'm a fan. I believe he can win Super Bowls, plural. But again, enough is enough. And Jerry's reputation would tell me, because he always says, when have you known me not to get one of these done? Because he didn't get it done last offseason or training camp or even during the regular season. I'm putting 2 and 2 together and it equals 40+ million. As in, Dak is asking for something that's so off the planet that even Jerry Jones, the overpayer, the guy who always takes care of his sons on the football team, even Jalen Smith got, I think, a little overpaid, that finally Jerry had to draw a line in his sand, his Cabo sand, and say, I'm sorry, that's too much. So now we're stuck with an impasse that could make both sides unhappy as we go into next football season. Go ahead.
Let me ask you this, Skip. Okay, we got 10 years of labor peace. They just did the new CBA. So from 2020 to 2030, there's no strike. Everything's going to be copacetic. Let me ask you this. How many years into this CBA before the $40 million quarterback is the $30 million quarterback? 2 years? 3 years? Because you know that's going to happen. Not even before halfway through, you'll have at least, at the bare minimum, 5-6 quarterbacks making $40 million. And I'm saying that they're going to make $40 million per year before the year 2025. Dak says, hold on, I do a 6-year deal. I'm making 33, 34. I got 6 guys at 2 years, 3 years after I signed, making $47 million per year more than me. So you got to factor, Skip, where the cap is going and what Dak is going to be able to do. If you don't believe the cap is going to go up, I can get you. If you don't believe Dak is going to be any better than what he is right now, don't do the deal. But if you believe the cap is going to go up, and you and I both believe that the cap will go up, considering they're already headed back to our bosses at Fox and all these other networks, to talk about a new television contract because of the 17th game in the regular season, the extra playoff game in the postseason. You know the cap is going up, and Dak says, I'm only going to get better. I've improved every single year. Now, maybe the record is not indicative. Sometimes, Skip, records are not indicative of how good a team is or how good a said player is. Dak has gotten better. I believe a lot of his calories are empty, but Dak is a better quarterback in year 4 than he was in year 1. And so Dak is saying, I'm going to be an even better quarterback in year 5, 6, 7 than I was in year 2, 3, 4. So, Jerry, there's a premium that must be paid on that potential.
Okay, I got lots of responses to everything you just said. I'm glad you just pointed this out. You, Shannon Sharp, are not even a fan of Dak Prescott's. You gave him Fs for many of his performances last football season.
He earned those Fs.
8-8. Yeah, and you said empty calories and all those fourth quarter yards that he threw for. And I fought and fought and fought for Dak Prescott. But the point is, you're saying overpay a guy that you don't even believe in. So I find some not so delicious irony in that statement.
Skip,
and now I got a better question for you. Yeah.
Okay. No, I was going to say, do you believe if you gave Dak $38 million, he's overpaying him?
Yes. And I'll tell you why. Do you think the Rams believe that they have overpaid Jared Goff? You better believe they're looking at it now saying, what did we do? Do you think the Rams think they had overpaid Todd Gurley? They just cut him. And again, the only reason Zeke got what he got was because the Rams had overpaid Todd Gurley. The only reason you're making such a strong case for Dak Prescott is in large part because the Rams overpaid Jared Goff. So my point to you is, you have to be careful with this because as much as I love Dak and I'm betting on the